All right, so I'm going to ask that we open up the meeting right now for the amended Special Capital Strategic Planning Committee for January 22nd, 2026. We'll go through roll call if you don't mind. We'll start. Ayana?
Ariana Landry.
Naomi Smith.
Linda Stratton.
Peggy Lord.
Gary Sullivan.
Kevin Cunningham.
Linda Theodore.
Christy Hassel.
Michael Brown. John Mollison.
Okay. We have one who is not going to be here tonight. He's out of town, so that is Joe. We'll go through with the election of officers. We have anybody on the floor wish to nominate anybody for chair?
I'll nominate Peggy Lori.
I'll second.
Anybody else wish to make nomination for chair?
I'd like to nominate Joe.
I'll second that.
Anybody else? Hearing no other nominations for chair, motion to close nominations.
Second.
All in favor of closing, please raise your hand.
Aye.
Thank you. I didn't see anybody else, so everything is unanimous. Next is to vote for the chair. All those in favor of having the chair as Peggy? Say aye. Anybody wish to vote for Joe? In that case, we have Peggy as chair. Peggy, if you don't mind, I'll go through the rest of them and we'll go next. We have a vote for chair done. We have a nomination for vice chair.
Nominate Naomi.
Second.
Any other people who wish to nominate for vice chair?
I'll nominate Joe.
And a second on that?
Sure, I'll second it.
It's okay.
It's interesting, right?
Yep.
Definitely interesting.
Any other nominations for
Don't
vice
learn
chair?
not to miss another meeting.
Any other nominations for vice chair?
Motion to close.
Motion closed.
Second.
Who has seconded?
Lynn
All in favor of closing the nominations, say aye, or raise your hand, please. Thank you. All those in favor of Naomi for vice chair? Okay. And anybody in favor of Joe? Thank you very much. We go on to the last one, which is the recording. It's the recording secretary.
I nominate Linda Stratton.
And a second.
I'll second.
Any other nominations for recording
I
secretary?
nominate Linda Fedor.
And do we have a second for that?
I'll second that.
Any other nominations for recording secretary?
Motion to close.
Motion is made to
I'll
close.
second.
Anybody second?
Yeah, I'll second it.
All in favor of closing, raise your hand. And opposed? No. Good. All right. Good. Thank you very much. We'll go through this very quickly. Discuss.
Oh, wait, we gotta
I'm sorry. All right. All in favor of? We have Lynn for secretary? All in favor of Linda for secretary? We got 3, 4. One more time. Linda was how many? 1, 2, 3. Oh, Linda.
Yeah, Linda.
Okay. And Lynn? We all in favor?
You got the story. Yeah, you got it.
I thought it was 4-4.
Yeah, it's the second. You had the golden egg, Linda.
All right. And don't worry, we'll help with that. I will sit together.
Today?
Yep. All right, so B and C is done. Establish schedule of meetings. We have we'd like to discuss the objective. You have in your hands the list that I gave you for what the initial objectives are. Somewhat generic, but it does give an evaluation. You know, I think that's short for 10 years. It really should be 20. We have to look at the long range because you're going to put a bond out there eventually. That's the idea. So, I mean, we can change that if you like, but still, it's, the objectives are listed for what you'd like to see for capital improvement, the assessments. So that's really what we're looking at here. If you want to make some changes to the next meeting, we can do so, that's fine. But,
Question,
yes,
we had a meeting in June,
okay.
it was illegal and out of order. and
Yeah, we don't, actually, this is the only official meeting because of the way it was done. We didn't have people, go to a board of selectmen to be voted on. We didn't have anybody
No,
sworn
I
in.
understand that,
Yeah.
but I just wanna ask a question.
Sure, sure.
We did get paperwork, and the only reason I'm asking about it is this, proposed scope of work the same as this?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
That's all I really.
I mean, we've been talking about it for a while, it's just a matter of
Yeah.
officially putting it in. Item number 2 is discuss and request from the board, to the Board of Finance to complete the building assessment of the remaining town-owned buildings not completed. So in the past, the Board of Education had graciously gone out and put out something for your, all your buildings for the Board of Ed. The town did an assessment of this building as well. So what's remaining is what you see here listed. Police Department, Highway Garage, Animal Control, Bus Garage, Senior Center / Recreation Center, and the Sewer Department. So we would like to be able to utilize that.
I actually had a question on that. Just because we have other things in this town that can cost significant amounts of money as well,
Like,
is it worth
Like?
putting together an example of anything that we own, like bridges, or that we're going to have to include, or major equipment such as, like DPW trucks or something because of the cost?
we have talked about that, putting that into our capital, and a different way of doing a capital we're discussing over the next few
Okay.
meetings.
Because I also been thinking about road safety itself,
Mhm.
you know, intersections, curves, or whatever. You know, I'm going that route also, looking at the roads.
And again, we're talking about that as capital.
Potential safety issues out there that we need to make a
We can
fix.
go all the way down to sidewalks. I mean, the idea is that these are the buildings that we're responsible for. What do we do with the buildings? Because that's the largest dollar value of what
We
we're
are now
going on.
responsible for the ECC as well, because that we used to, that at one point was with the Board of Ed.
We have the assessment in that building, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, we
Yeah.
have it
It's not
assessed
current.
as a school,
Yeah.
not
Right.
as a town.
But if you look at them, maybe the mechanicals and the structure itself,
Well, my question is, that was, over a year ago, right?
Yeah.
What's the current status?
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, you could say the same thing of all the Board of Ed buildings, because those are over here.
But we're not, yeah.
Well,
We
we're
have-
not
But
addressing
we
that.
are actually addressing all of it eventually. We need to get these done.
One of the buildings though that isn't listed on here is Liverpool Ranch.
We already have an assessment of that building.
When was that one done?
The same year that you did the Board of Ed.
Okay.
So,
When was the analysis done on all the sewer lines in town?
well, we've been doing those all along. We have some new software that tells us where they all are now, so we're lining them all up on mapping.
No, that's visual.
Assessment? Probably
Running
never.
cameras for them,
Probably never.
you gotta do that.
Okay.
That's good, that's your biggest ticket item right there. They've been sitting there since 1972. That by far is gonna be a serious bond issue right there.
So I guess that was my question, where you have like the 10-year scope on here, Kevin, for the capital improvement plan. Now, doing research over the years, I know most towns do anywhere between a 5 to a 7-year capital, not a 10-year. So would it be kind of prudent, or would it, I don't even know what the right word would be, for us to look at like short-term, middle, and then long-term? So like projects that are gonna have to be bonded out, that are gonna be 20 years, shouldn't those be like in a different category, things that are gonna be more immediate in repairs?
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So 10 years is just kind of like a blanket. We're not, the Board of Finance isn't gonna do a 10-year capital. So from a Board of Finance standpoint, I'd like to see the things first that are gonna fall within that 5-year range that we're gonna be working and building, and then what's the bonding projects?
Again, I thought this should be 20, number one.
Yep.
Second thing is, when you take a look at the assessment for all those buildings, you're looking at things that are really bad, and you're actually doing exactly what you're saying. You're looking at the, staging. What's most important.
Right.
For those who haven't been to the Animal Control Center, I would ask you to go. I think that building is, my personal opinion, that building needs to go totally. So, but that's an assessment that we need to take a look at through, starting here.
Because one of my concerns was, I went to the informational, the public hearing that we had about the cell tower and the sale of the ECC.
Mm-hmm.
So I know for me, my perception was we were supposed to have a different conversation about the ECC. I didn't realize it was just for the sale. And so when I stood up and spoke and I said, I think there were members on this board that I spoke to after other meetings that said they were eager. And then it also was brought to my attention that the original capital strategic, there was some discussion about the ECC. It was on the agenda and it was also reflected in the minutes. Let me just finish.
Sure.
I understand you're saying the schools aren't, but the ECC technically isn't a school anymore. It was given back to the town as a municipal building now. And I do know, attending Board of Selectmen meetings, there was discussion from Mike and Tom. So right now, the way I stand, being on this committee, I would like to basically have a list put together by the Board of Selectmen that you guys agree on, so there's no like, one selectman wants this, one selectman, I would like you guys to be uniform, create a list, motion it, and move it back to this committee so we know exactly and are clear by all the selectmen, what are we working on?
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I'm at with that,
Okay. A list of what?
buildings.
So now you're not gonna talk about sewer.
That's Gary's thing, I'm not discussing.
Okay.
If Gary
I'm just
wants to
saying.
argue, if Gary wants to bring that to the table, well, I mean, that's up to the committee, but I'm just letting you know, as a committee member and someone who's attended like multiple meetings and listening, that's where I'm at.
I would tend to agree with Gary on that, since it's capital strategic planning, and it doesn't say building specifically, but looking at the whole capital picture.
The whole picture.
Everything from sewer to, do we need to consider purchasing, and I have no idea here, but purchasing a new fleet for DPW, because that's a huge cost, to all of those things, because when the Board of Ed did what we called Project 2020 previously, we looked at everything from purchasing trucks to purchasing, because we knew all those expenses. So we kind of looked at those bigger items. We can set that price parameter to say, hey, if it's over 15,000, 20,000, we need to look at it. But I would, as a town, want to look at all of our infrastructures. When I think about it, I don't think of it just as building, but infrastructure. Looking at everything down to, do we need to reconsider fiber or cable lines coming into buildings for internet and everything, all encompassing. Just because I really want a good snapshot so that when all of us, because we're not going to be here forever. And we want to be able to hand over something to the next person that has all those details in there, as much information as we can get. Especially as we continue to make tough budget choices. And then we have a good idea of what our town wants, what our direction is, and go from there.
I think we really need to have some input in this from our finance director, because a lot of that has to do with what we're looking for over the 10 or 20 year period. If we're looking to do that, how do we do an RFP for sewer? How do we do an RFP for, well, we have, by the way, we have some things in place already for bridges. We've already got consulting, we'll be looking at all our bridges, so we can give an analysis of that. How quickly that can be done, I don't know.
Look at Dow, you'll find out.
It might be as simple as not necessarily even needing to go out to RFP business, but to bring in those department leads and say, hey, this is the status, and then as a committee say, all right, are we comfortable with this report, or do we need to go back out? I think it's nothing that we can rush through.
Well, the other part of that is...
This is long-term here.
Well, the other part of that is also, if you're putting out RFPs, you've got to know what your scope is for what items. You also have to be able to pay for all of that. We do have some money available to do the RFPs that we've presented so far. Those buildings that are there, we have RFPs available for that, and we also have money so we don't have to go to the Board of Finance and ask for money for that. If we wanted to add that to the next meeting as the other things you'd like to talk about, whether it be sewer or road, we have to get a better scope of that from the sewer department as to how would they be able to, if they can be able to take a look at all of the materials, how long that would take to do that. So
no, I agree that we should definitely broaden the scope with things like sewer. That's something that I certainly would have thought. But roads and bridges is definitely something that we should keep in mind when we're discussing some of these ideas.
yeah, roads are a little different.
Yeah,
Absolutely a little different because we do them in batches. Remember a couple of years ago, and I'll just then end with that and ask our finance director for some input, but a couple of years ago on the Board of Finance, one of the members said, let's do every road in the town.
I mean, I'm not even talking about repaving, I'm talking about realigning bad areas of a curve.
A realignment of you're talking about putting 2 zeros on the end of this road repair for all of those roads. Those things are huge costs.
And
So,
we can't touch state highways.
yeah.
You might want to consider, if you don't mind me suggesting, make subcommittees, because with all of the scope, you're not going to get much done. You're going to be all over the place. Have like a subcommittee of buildings, subcommittee of infrastructure, subcommittee of roads, or something along those lines, whatever you guys determine to be more adequate, and then like report back to each other, and then work together as a team. But don't mandate all 10 of you to scope after, the water lines, or, whatever it may be. And we would need to get Stephanie involved for the sewer as well.
Yep.
You also need to know about funding that's available, so Shannon could help with that. In addition, there's town road aid. So there's other things that are already in place. It's not like nothing has been done, but I think if we can start somewhere, and I do like the idea of 20 or 30 years down the line, like, where do you see your town? Start up here, guys. This is where we want to be, and then divide it out in years. It's kind of like, when you're a little kid, what do you want to do when you grow up? And then you say, all right, then I got to go to this college, or I got to go to this trade school, whatever it may be, and make a step-by-step plan, and then bring it back down to your level and say, all right, I have an area of expertise more in, infrastructure, let me help with that. I have a better understanding of buildings, let me help with that. And that's just my 2 cents. I mean, you guys, however you want to do it, it's fine, it's your committee, but.
I have a question on, I guess I came in your office earlier and was asking about a report that apparently Ron.
You're talking about the ad hoc building committee?
Yeah, the ad hoc building committee, and it
I can
sounds.
get that for the future meetings.
Yeah, because it sounds like they had gone through a lot of this analysis on these same buildings that you had mentioned, and some of the stuff's already been done. You've actually got some of this stuff done already,
Okay.
so could we use that as a starting point?
You could use that as a starting point, but what I'm going to say is these are people that came in from the outside who the plumber may look at the building and look at it. I want professionals to come in and give us an evaluation.
See, my question I was gonna ask Jim is about getting us copies of every building on every single capital improvement that was already done, on every single building.
Well, that's why we're looking to get that scope done for going out to them. And I would ask that we consider that for tonight. Because if we get started on the other buildings that we have listed here, at least that's a start, and we can talk about that other items for sewer at the next meeting.
Well, we should definitely make sure at very earliest, the next meeting, we talk about the scope of the work that we're gonna do. 100%.
Do we agree, though, that the other buildings that are listed here should be put on to do analysis as soon as possible? Just as a starting point?
Yeah, I think we should have a professional analysis of these buildings, but I don't want to rule out any other buildings.
Oh, I'm not. I'm just saying
I'm
we
just
can
making
get
sure
started
that-
on this.
Yeah, I'm making that very clear.
with that being said, I would be prepared to make a motion that we approve an RFP for building assessments of, but not limited to, police department, highway garage, animal control, bus garage, office, senior center, recreation center, and the sewer department.
Using MRSA funding.
Yes, if you could add that.
Thank you. Using
MRSA funding.
MRSA funding.
Oh, second.
We have a motion on the floor and a second. Any other discussion on that?
How long does that take?
You drafted a pretty good RFP. We'll just tweak it up on next week. Then we put it out to bid. It usually takes a few weeks for the RFP to be put out there and available to the companies to take a look at. There's a couple places you can put it up on, not only the town website, but also
we put on the state bid site as well, so we reach more vendors. Try to keep it open for at least a month to really get good candidates. The other question is, we tend to do mandatory walkthroughs for bids like this.
pre-bid.
So that may extend it just because we have to decide if we want to go to all buildings in one day, or if we're going to break it up because they are spread out.
Yeah, it would be better to do like one complex at a time, because we're talking a lot of money for all the for an RFP for everything.
Well, we have enough ballpark number from when the Board of Ed did theirs. It was
I think we broke it up
48?
into 2 to 3 days where we focused on different campuses. So
That was 50,000.
And,
Yeah.
and to clarify, the bid process, sounds essentially the same as the
Yes.
DRC that we went through.
Okay, so my concern is if we do this and then we wanna come back and add any buildings, that's gonna be an additional RFP and additional monies, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, then I'm gonna need a no for this for tonight, because I would like the board of selectmen to discuss the buildings more and come back to us with what they wanna see.
Were there any other buildings that,
Yes, because here's my thing, so if I have the Liberty, Selectman Supranat and Selectman Sinkowitz are in the room, and at one of the previous Board of Selectmen meetings, when this slate was voted, Mr. Supranat stated he wanted to see the ECC building come in front of this committee. And Tom agreed to it. It was not motioned, it was not moved, so it kind of stalled there. So that was my perception, that's why I thought we were going to be looking at that, plus the prior agendas from the meetings with the prior committee. And I think if we're gonna send out an RFP, then let's make sure we have all the buildings, because I don't wanna come back. There's no point, we're gonna come back for one more building,
So do you wanna amend the motion?
Well, that building was done in.
That building was done.
but are we gonna want it done again?
Well,
I don't know if that's what the other selectmen want. I don't think you guys discussed it enough, Kevin, that's my feeling on it.
I have a question. Are we just doing, like, what's wrong with the building and that, or are we also looking at usage? Because if we're looking at usage, that changes things, because I know with the Board of Ed one, we got back what, if it was of use to the schools. We don't have any usage data for the ECC for a town building. We know it was not a necessary building for the school, which is why we as Board of Ed sent it to the town, because the schools don't need it anymore, but then we don't know how the town.
Yeah, the Board of Ed did do a
Percent.
usage per square foot, analysis, didn't it?
yeah, it tells us the rooms, what rooms were in it, what they were being utilized for. I mean, the building itself doesn't change, so.
I think that with the school one, it was very specific because there are very strict requirements as far as being used as an educational facility. As to, you can only have so many students per square foot, you have to have so many bathrooms per pupils, then you have to have a different set of adult bathrooms. So I think that's what we really got out of the usage report with the Board of Ed. It was a feasibility study rather than this is a building assessment.
Yeah, it sounds like the building assessment is maybe a separate issue in the sense that you already have these existing buildings, the usage isn't really gonna change. So we need to determine what needs to be done on them in the short term and long term. And in the ECC building, we don't have the usage per se.
Right.
But that's in the strategic plan in the sense that we have to figure out, well, what use is that building gonna have in the future? What's the best way to handle it? So it's kind of a separate issue. But the Veritas report on it was pretty complete about, things that were going wrong with it, things that need to be
Yeah, I
addressed
agree.
over
I
a period.
agree.
And they set out a schedule for that, and now we're already, 3 years into that schedule. So it seems like that's already been done, so we don't really need to evaluate it based on that. We need to evaluate it from a strategic planning point of view.
I would like to retract my motion, and I would like to put it to a vote here for the committee that I move that we decide if we're going to add the ECC to the assessment. I move that we decide.
You have a motion out there, you
I'll
seconded
second
it.
it.
No, you
Yeah,
got
that
it.
was
I
pretty
rescinded,
good.
I
Yeah,
rescinded
and you're
that.
putting out a new motion.
Putting out a new motion that should we add the ECC to the assessment?
You're asking the question, or you're making a motion?
I move that we add the ECC to the assessment.
And I'll second that one, or you should second that.
So the motion on the floor is exactly what his first motion was.
What
with
you're
the
adding.
addition of the scope words.
With the addition of
Okay.
the
Addition of the ECC.
And you
You
seconded it?
I
seconded
second
it.
it.
I'll have fun drafting that letter up, on that email up. All right, so we have the motion, if I get it right, your initial motion was to do the RFPs for the other buildings which were listed, and then your amendment was to add the assessment to the ECC.
Yeah.
And we have a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. So that will be unanimous. We'll then look to, I'll ask quickly before we go upstairs, what's your best date? Is it a Thursday for a meeting like this? Is it?
Second Thursday of the week, I think we had talked about
Same
one of our
thing, yeah.
previous, second Thursday.
Because the next meeting we'll have to have a list of all the calendar dates because that's required to go to the town clerk. I'll call it as a special meeting and we'll work from there.
They are already set for the second Thursday, but I don't know, are they invalid because,
No, we can
No.
use that schedule.
okay.
Yeah, we have to vote on it though. This is the first time, technically this is the first time.
Okay, I'll move that, we make our meetings the second Thursday of every
You
month.
can't. This is a special meeting, you can't add anything to the
Oh.
agenda.
Oh, I thought it was on there as schedule.
Yeah, no,
Established schedule D.
Yeah.
Schedule for meetings.
Yeah, the only thing is I can't make it the second Thursday of every month, so there's just no way. I can make it the second Thursday. of
Take
every
the
month.
motion, I'll take the second, we vote on it, but I'll verify with the town clerk. What was the first motion? Made the motion for the second?
Yeah.
I don't know. All right, so Peggy, you can't
I
make it?
can't make it the second
Well, that's
Thursday.
gonna be kind of hard, because she's the chair, so.
Okay,
So what I'm
I can
saying
make it
is-
the third Thursdays, I can make it second Tuesdays, whatever you guys want to do.
Well, third Thursday works. Third
Third
Thursday.
Thursday, make the motion then?
Okay. Mike,
Kevin, we have economic development on the third Thursdays at 7.
If you're at 6:30, it's fine, other than that, yeah.
Or Tuesday.
how about the second Tuesday of every month?
At planning and zoning.
Okay,
See, I was very careful about the naming Thursdays. Thursdays seem to be the most.
How about the second Wednesday?
That's fine.
Okay, never mind.
Thursday, let's concentrate Thursday. Second Thursday, or did you say third? How about third Thursday?
Third Thursday's good.
I hear anybody making a motion?
I move for the third Thursday at 6:30.
Are we out upstairs?
Upstairs.
Absolutely.
That's part of the motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion to adjourn?
Second.
And we have another meeting upstairs, public information.